It's the Acting Income Podcast with Ben Houck, Episode 6, How to Write to Supplement Your Acting Career, with Ann Diacetis.
It's the Acting Income Podcast with Ben Houck. Turn your passion into income, Ben will show you how. With all the resources that you need to make it as an actor in an expensive city. To stay balanced and make money, you really can't go wrong with actingincome.com.
Welcome to the Acting Income Podcast. I'm Ben Houck, and on this podcast, we talk about acting, money, balance, and tons of other topics related to earning an income as an actor. Thank you for tuning in. This is episode 6, titled How to Write to Supplement Your Acting Career, with Ann Diacetis. Pull up the show notes right now at actingincome.com/episode 6. Now, before we dig in, I want to plug today's sponsor, my book, Longform Improv. Longform Improv deftly teaches the wildly popular form of improvisation that is so foundational to the comedy stylings of many of today's top actors and thriving comedians. Crammed with innovative ideas for conceptualizing improvised scene work and finding the game of the scene, this crisply written manual covers techniques for experienced improvisers, curious actors, and even non-actors, even teaching the most famous expression of longform improv, the half-hour improvised form known as the Herald. Students of acting and improv alike should expect the book Longform Improv to bolster their education and fast-track their course to improv greatness. To reserve your copy today, also available on Kindle and Nook, go to actingincome.com/LFI. That's actingincome.com/LFI. I'm really excited to share this episode with you today, which is all about writing to supplement your acting career. It's also my first interview on the Acting Income Podcast. Actor Ann Diacetis emailed me right after the launch of the podcast and was eager to share her experience of how she supports acting work with writing. And she really wondered why more actors don't write on the side. Here's a little more about Ann. Ann Diacetis is a character actress and singer. She was a founding member of Division 13 Productions, led by artistic director Joanna Settle, which produced for nearly 10 years in Chicago and New York. Since earning her MFA at Cal Arts, Ann has developed her own solo show, broadened into indie film and a sprinkling of TV, and became the lead singer of the retro Latin and R&B band Willie and the Wolves. Her next project will be the short film The Dismissal with director Matt Epstein in a role written for her, because she's writing it. Now, here's my interview with Ann Diacetis. Hey there, Ann Diacetis. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you on the Acting Income Podcast. Now, you're an actor, and you use your writing talents as supplemental income for your acting career. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, I do. That's exactly what I do.
Well, okay. How did you end up doing this kind of writing?
I think that the most important thing is actually that I started out reading. And I think that that's why I'm so surprised that more actors don't do this for a living. We start reading before we do anything else. And especially if we've had the benefit of training as actors, we read plays, we read screenplays, we read all the time, and we improvise in our work, which I don't think we consider writing as often as we should. So, growing up, I was just a crazy, eager reader. And that sort of led naturally into me liking to write and enjoying writing.
You went to school, you went to college, right?
Yes.
What did you go to college for?
For undergrad, I went to Mount Holyoke College, and I was an English major and theater minor.
Oh, and theater minor. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a whole thing in and of itself. But I kind of felt like if I wasn't going to go to conservatory program, try and get into Juilliard or something like that, that I wanted to get a liberal arts degree and then possibly pursue acting as my MFA, which is ultimately what I did. I loved reading and I loved writing and I loved theater. And I kind of never felt like I should have to choose.
Interesting. So the reading and writing, how does that fit in together? I mean, people can read, but may not be able to write very well. You have a knack for it, I guess, and that's you feel at least comfortable enough to segue that into earning an income as a writer.
Right. One of the reasons I wanted to come on the podcast and talk is that there are so many people in business today who we assume have these awesome writing skills that they do not have. And actors, I think, are sometimes better writers than they give themselves credit for. And if you think about something like the arc of a story, for example, when I go to one of my marketing clients and say, who are you? Who is this brand? What do they want? Who are you talking to? What do they want? It's exposition at the beginning of a story, and it's rooting out objectives. And the next thing you know, you're a marketing consultant. So I think in some ways, actors can, if you have ever worked in a job where you were the one that they wanted to write the memos, you should consider working as a writer. If you were the one who They gave letters to be proofread. These are signs, even when you're doing, what's pretty low level work, these are signs that you have a skill that they don't have and that they might need. I mean, not everyone's suited for it, but I honestly believe that more of us are.
Well, as I understand it, you've had a professional background in writing and you've spun that off into a freelance writing and editing and copywriting profession. Am I mistaken? Tell me about what kinds of writing projects you do and then with what frequency you do them.
Okay. Well, it's a mix of corporate and creative projects. I've ghostwritten a book. I have edited a book. I'm editing another book right now. And those are truly creative projects in my mind. I mean, I'm helping people, write their memoir, and it's all about storytelling, and it's all about kind of understanding what the audience is dying to know more about and things like that. And then on the corporate side, it's kind of online newsletter content. I've done entire websites. I've done speeches for executives, which are super fun because you can write for them like they're a character, and, sales proposals, marketing copy, that kind of stuff.
Right. How are you able to market your talents as a writer? How are you able to get some of these clients?
For me, it's 100 referral business. There's really no shortcut to people trusting you, especially when you're going to work for them at home. They're not going to watch you do it. And particularly if it's not a skill that they have, and they don't really know how to evaluate whether you're doing it efficiently or not. So my first clients were people that I knew before from some context. And I would just say, I'm branching out. I'm going to specialize. Please let me know if you need anything. And what really overwhelmed me was this wave of need that came at me, that there were a lot of people who'd been thinking of writing a book. They were like, I've always wanted to write my book, but I really feel like I need to work with someone and I don't know who. And it's an intimate relationship when you're writing with someone else, especially when it's their story. And, creative people, we're great at being trustworthy with that kind of intimate material. So once I had a few great projects under my belt, then they would tell their friends, their network, and I get more offers than I can take right now. So I would say if you're going to start with it, start with people the network it's richer and it's deeper than you think it is.
So asking, just putting out there that if you need something written, hey, talk to me, I may be able to
Yeah, I mean, if you've been going to the same dentist since you were 15 years old and their website is atrocious, I mean, that's a really great place to start. Sometimes we forget, we're always looking up the mountain. This is a mistake that actors make, I think, too. We're always looking up the mountain and hoping somebody will reach down and lift us up. And we discount the community that's to the right and to the left of us and how we might work together.
That's a very good point. Now, it sounds like that you said you have to turn writing work down. It makes me think that you're quite busy. How do you balance this writing profession along with your acting profession? May I presume that acting is your primary and writing is secondary and supplemental to that?
Yeah, the flexibility that writing gives you is amazing. I do a lot of work because I needed at a certain point to not sleep on futons anymore. I needed to buy a mattress and be able to get a good night's sleep. So, I take on a fair amount of work, but, if you are disciplined enough to structure your own time, you have to get agile about it and you have to find your work ethic and get it done. I mean, you might have to work late. You might have to work early. You might have to work on the weekend. But for the most part, I've been able to kind of sweep things aside for a few hours here, a few hours there, run where I needed to get to. I mean, I wouldn't take on a huge project if I was out auditioning, for example, for plays out of state. If I wanted to go and work in the regionals for a year or something, I would probably be careful about taking on really large writing projects.
Like a ghostwriting book or like ghostwriting book?
Yeah, I mean, anytime somebody is paying you, they are going to expect you to be able to be certain places at certain times, and they're going to expect commitment from you. And I think that's true in no matter what job you try and get to make a little bit of money. But so much of the work that you do as a writer is solitary, and your laptop is your office and it can travel with you. And as long as you have the discipline and sort of the juggling skills to shift the pieces of your life around. I mean, I get this question a lot, is how do you balance all the writing projects alone, much less auditioning and writing for performance and all the other stuff, and music, being a singer. And I say, well, it's kind of like trying to constantly put a puzzle together when the pieces keep changing size and shape. You just have to be willing to do that. And I am somewhat invigorated by getting away with doing that as my life. And if you have that kind of spirit about it, you can pull it off.
Well, I can identify with that feeling for sure. I know I feel like I'm continually juggling the different things that are going on in my life. I rarely make commitments because I never know what's going to come up. It's just a juggling of different responsibilities. Now, sometimes I'm faced with deadlines, drop dead deadlines of when I have to accomplish something. And it just so happens an audition may come up to completely conflict with that. that. So how do you field, I'm sure you have deadlines at times.
Yes.
How do you juggle that? You keep them negotiable? Do you not set deadlines? What goes on with that in writing?
Well, I try and be strategic about it when I can. I mean, if I have a lot of offers on the table to do a bunch of different writing projects, I will naturally gravitate towards the ones that are a little bit fuzzy in terms of the deadline. This is where you really do have to be a disciplined person. You always want to stay one step ahead of your clients so that they're never waiting for you, so that when the day comes and you say, oh, you know what, something came up, can we push this into next week? 9 times out of 10, it's fine. What you have to watch out for are projects like, like heavy duty sales proposals where, it's got to be, your client has to get it to their prospect by 5 p.m. on the dot. So I will take those jobs if I don't have anything else going on and I need the work to fill in and kind of cross my fingers. But I will try as much as I can to gravitate to things that are a little bit more flexible. I will say, though, that pretty much all businesses now, I feel like, operate 24 hours a day. So if I can get a file into somebody's email inbox by the next morning, they don't really ask a lot of questions. So I should knock on something, but I've pretty much always been able to somehow miraculously make that work, though sometimes I did not sleep.
So this is the Acting Income Podcast. We're very much interested in what actors make when we talk about this. So if an actor is interested in doing side work as a writer, what kind of money are we expecting when it comes to that kind of work? I know you have a lot of experience, so you probably command more value than someone who's just starting off. Is there anything you can share in terms of what might be expected for writing jobs for actors?
Right. Well, I would say, like I say, start with your network, start with people who trust you, and I would say ask for at least $20 an hour. At least. I tend to not trust a writer who doesn't want to charge at least $40 an hour. And you got to realize, projects don't take 40 hours a week. I mean, there's a lot of small projects that really only take 3 hours here, 2 hours there, things like that, especially editing projects. But you have to realize that you want to have a little bit of a body of work out there so that you can show it as an example. You can generate your own content. You can put it up on various social media platforms and things like that. You want to get a few clients under your belt. I would say charge them $20 an hour. And you know what? You got to go out. You have to get a thesaurus. You have to get a dictionary. You should get a Strunk and White, The Elements of Style. You should have a basic grasp of your grammar, and you should love to read because you're going to spend a lot of time reading. But
I see that. Yeah, I see that connection there.
Yes,
Yeah.
You're going to spend a ton of time. And from there, I wouldn't start for less than 20. And most people that really are serious about copywriting will start charging $40 an hour kind of as their base rate when they're pretty junior. You don't have to have a lot of experience to charge $40 an hour. You just have to be good. I mean, you shouldn't charge $40 an hour if the product is full of grammatical error. But, at this point, I've been doing it since 2009. And I worked full time as a writer for a couple of years before I went to graduate school, which helped, increase my value a bit. So at this point, I mean, I don't talk to anybody for less than $50 an hour. And that's for really simple work. And I have clients that are paying me up to $100 an hour. And, I only dream of it going up from there if I'm doing sort of creative director type work for a marketing company or something like that. So, I mean, I think there's decent hourly to be made. And I also really think that it fits in to the way that actors think, although they don't always realize it. And it taps into skills that I think a lot of people naturally have. And you can have a job where you don't have to feel like you're going to abandon everyone. I feel like a lot of actors misinterpret some information that's coming to us from the industry, which is very frank, which is just if, you submit for projects and we select you out of the 600 people who wrote in the 2 hours since we put it on Actors Access, please don't respond with all the reasons why you can't be there. And in our minds, this turns into we have to have jobs we don't care about. We have to have jobs that don't require high skill, that can't actually earn us any kind of comfortable life to enjoy while we are living as an actor and a performer. And I think that you can truly be committed and not be a jerk because, when you walk out on a job because you have an opportunity to be an actor, you might really be screwing up somebody else's day and you might be really messing up somebody else's business. And I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to believe that there was a way for me to give the industry what it needed from me, which was this flexibility and this availability without feeling like I couldn't ever commit to anything else that might matter to me and invigorate me. And I find writing very invigorating. I can agree with my clients that it has value and sometimes it has a nice amount. And it's just a way to have a whole life rather than feeling like I'm waiting to be rescued from this job I don't care about that isn't earning enough money by a casting director, which is a lot of pressure to put on them. You know what I mean?
I can mirror that sentiment a lot. I figured out early on in moving to New York City, I thought that I'd want to take boring temp jobs without a lot of passion to them. And I figured that would free me up creatively, my mind for creative thoughts. And I found it, for me at least, it seemed to be the opposite. That instead, I think I needed to be in more creative endeavors that would challenge me creatively so that I could apply that to my acting career. It's similar to what you're saying. Am I mistaken?
Yes, exactly. And, I think for anybody who does enjoy writing at all, creative storytelling begets creative storytelling. And I found that the best way to keep juicy as a writer, the best way to keep the words flowing and the ideas flowing is to write every day. So when you're doing it for your work, then suddenly you're also doing it creatively. I mean, I've written my own piece for performance, and I'm working on another screenplay right now with a filmmaker friend of mine who we've known each other forever. We've always wanted to do a project, and suddenly we're empowered because I can write the story. We can work on it together, and we don't have to wait for someone else to come along and create that opportunity for us. So I think that if it's anything that you have any facility for, and I go back to the memo idea. I mean, I went into temping. You speak about what kind of jobs you had at the beginning. I went into temping because I was just terrified of working in food service. I actually worked briefly at a Starbucks, and it was completely scarring. I was way too sensitive to handle it. So I went to office environments. I was like, I can type really fast. This will be great. And I started getting those early cues of, like, oh, Anne should write that. It's always better after it's been through her desk. And that has led me into being able to write for performance for myself, just because every day I kind of feel things are just flowing. I'm just in a good rhythm with being able to write. And I get to write creatively and get paid for it too. And I mean, how great is that?
That sounds fantastic. We have a little bit more time. If you were giving advice to an actor who wanted to set up a website that marketed their own writing abilities, what would have to be on that website? What kind of samples would they need to provide, do you think, to be working as a writer?
I find that the subject matter itself should be anything that you are an expert in. And you can be an expert in anything. Again, this is where I say, like, you are enough. Your life is enough. Look around your life. See what your hobbies have been, what your interests have been, what your family history is. Is there a family business? Anything that you know a lot about. And there are great platforms like medium.com. I really recommend for anyone who wants to get writing samples out there. It's a very simple interface. It's a very elegant presentation. Write a review of a play that you saw. Write something about the family business. Write anything. Just get some samples out there. And your own website obviously should be well written. You know what I mean? You want to give a little bit of thought to that. But it's there's so much that's available. It's more than just putting stuff on Facebook that your friends think is funny, but it's not actually that much more than that. It's about, okay, I'm going to write a 4-part series about this community theater that's been in my hometown since 1927 and what they're doing today. You know what I mean? I mean, Don't be afraid to go back. Don't be afraid to go to what you really know and write about that, because all anybody's going to judge your writing on, I find, is how much they're taken in by the story that you're telling. Mm-hmm. And if you can then get to meet them, if the strength of that sample is enough to have the conversation with them, well, then you get to sell them on how you could tell any story. And fake it till you feel it, I guess. But I just really feel like actors are excellent storytellers. Mm-hmm. And if we just open ourselves to the idea that, well, maybe I could help people do this with my writing, it's possible. I mean, I think it's worth a shot.
Well, Anne Diacetis, where can we learn more about you and your copywriting services?
Well, my copywriting website is adcreativecopy.com. I also have a personal website, annediacetis.com. You will check the program notes for the spelling of that.
Yeah, I'll put that in the show notes.
Where you can learn more about my career as an actor, a singer, and a writer. They're all sort of equally billed there. And yeah, I'm on IMDb. I'm out and about.
Yeah, and I understand you have an offer for the Acting Income podcast audience if they want to hire you as a copywriter?
Sure. If anybody needs help writing, IMDb's have background bio information that people are always agonizing over. If you need proofreading of a resume or help putting any kind of those materials together, I'm happy to help. 10% off. Let's help each other out. Although, of course, I do encourage you to tackle it and see if you can do it and see if you can launch your career as a writer and editor.
Oh, that's great advice. Anne Diacetis, thank you very much. Thanks for talking to me and the Acting Income podcast audience.
Thanks so much. It was great fun.
Right after I finished my interview with Anne, she sent me a list of 3 resources she really wanted to share with you should you want to write to supplement your income as an actor. I've linked to these in the show notes, and I hope you'll check them out. Anne writes, "These are amazing resources that help get me from knowing I love to write in general to being able to write professionally to complement my acting career. They are the book The Renegade Writer by Linda Formicelli and Diana Burrell, which is now a full online resource center that includes freebies, e-courses, and ebooks for writers. The website is www.therenegadewriter.com. Another book Anne recommends is The Freelancer's Bible by Sarah Horowitz, founder of the Freelancers Union in New York City. And finally, Anne recommends the book The Freelance Success Book, Insider Secrets for Selling Every Word You Write by David Taylor. Anne's also given me a link to a business guide to Taylor's method. If you want to find links to these resources, they are in the show notes, which are located at actingincome.com/episode 6. And that's the show. This episode was sponsored by the book Longform Improv, The Complete Guide to Creating Characters, Sustaining Scenes, and Performing Extraordinary Heralds by Ben Houck. Reserve your copy today at actingincome.com/LFI. The show notes for this episode are available at actingincome.com/episode 6. You can find Acting Income on Twitter and Facebook. If you'd like to sponsor an episode, check out actingincome.com/advertise. I'm Ben Houck. Thanks for listening. See you on the next episode. For more information, as always, check out actingincome.com.